Hi, viewers. Welcome to another exciting episode of The AI People, where we share inspiring stories of thinkers and builders who are humanizing AI. Today, I'm with Jessica. Jessica, why don't you kick us off with an introduction?
Hi, thank you so much for having me here. I'm excited to be here and talk with you today. My name's Jessica Paulson. I'm the president of Innovation and Impact at Leap Innovations. So, in that role, I work alongside schools and school districts to design and implement personalized, future ready learning. Spent more than 15 years working in education, helping folks across the country to integrate technology in human centered ways to strengthen teaching, deepen student engagement, and prepare our learners for the future that they'll enter into. And AI is a big part of that now. And I also have the opportunity to lead the Chicagoland Coalition for Human Centered AI in Education. So, really bringing together a cross sector group of leaders in education and partners across our region to talk about what the future of learning with AI can look like.
That's awesome. One fun fact about you, Jessica. Anything that you want
Fun fact about me. Sounds good. Fun fact about me, I live here in the city of Chicago, but I'm looking out my back window to my right here at my backyard chickens. So I'm a big gardener and urban farmer here in Chicago. So when we talk about technology, I find slow living in my life as well as the fast living of looking forward to the future.
to? That's awesome. That's great to hear. And if you were to teach any subject to AI, what would that be?
Yeah, one of the things that we think about a lot at Leap is how we can personalize learning. So I think if there was a way to help AI better understand how students actually experience school on a day-to-day basis, what learning is like for so many different kids, I think it would create a much more powerful understanding of really the human side of experience. It's one of the reasons why we know that uh, we don't believe that AI is ever going to replace great teachers because it's going to be really hard to create that knowledge in those systems. But if we could better understand that human experience of all of the different ways we learn and experience school, it would help our teachers do more with that technology in the classroom.
Great to hear. I'm just curious, Jessica, how did you get started? I know you're so committed to um, transforming the education industry in your current role. So just wanted to understand how has your journey been so far? What was really the genesis here?
Yeah, for me personally, it started working directly with young people in schools and in community based organizations that were working with schools to make sure that every student had access to what they need. What I found was I was working in offices in schools, I was working in after school programs, and students were going to different people in different pockets that they had to navigate to find everything they needed for their success. And so I started to think about what does it look like to have education models that actually meet every student much more holistically with what they need. So we're not putting that on students to know where to go or how to find the help or how to get that personalized resources they need. And eventually that brought me into some public charter schools here in Chicago that work with Leap Innovations and really pioneered the personalized learning model. And eventually the chance to come here and work directly at Leap to expand that work across the country to dozens of schools and districts over the years. And technology has been always a part of how we've done that at Leap. A teacher looking at a classroom of 32 students who wants to create personalized experiences for each of them, often is using data to do that, often is using different technology programs that allow students to have more personalized experiences. And so when AI really became publicly available, we looked at that as a brand new way to bring so much of the potential that we saw in personalized learning into the classroom in ways we haven't been able to do with traditional ed tech. And so our LEAP team jumped into it, and I had the opportunity to start exploring and taking that human centered approach that you're all about here, which is getting in conversation with folks about how we keep relationships and keep humans at the center of it. And that really has shaped my work and the conversations and the work that we're doing at LEAP around AI.
That's awesome. And you would have had a lot of opportunities to interact with various stakeholders in education as AI is fundamentally reshaping how education services need to be rendered. So, in what are some of the biggest ways in which AI is changing the classroom experience today?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think what we're seeing first is a lot of teachers are finding efficiency in their workflows, and that's opening up more time for them to do meaningful work and build meaningful relationships in the classroom. Some of those most powerful moments in teaching or how you're working individually or in groups with students. And we see that happening. But we also see that AI is allowing folks to be able to generate that personalized support and feedback for students much faster, which is giving students more opportunities to take ownership over their learning, which is one of the core principles of personalized learning, that you're really in the driver's seat. And so we're seeing shifts there starting to happen in um, how students feel connected to the learning experience, how they're monitoring their goals, and that's all driving out of kind of feedback both from the tools and from the way that they can interact with the teachers based on what it's opening up in teacher capacity.
That's great. Seems like from an experience standpoint, AI is giving that fillip, um, opening up doors for new modalities, new form factors of experience. Are you also measuring, learning outcomes and how AI is improving those outcomes? And how's AI, making education more personalized for students?
Yeah, we are definitely watching that. I think we're still in the early phases of how universally schools and districts have access to these AI tools. A lot of times we're still seeing those early trailblazer teachers who've gotten the training, who feel comfortable in understanding how it fits into learning design, bring that into the classroom. So don't know if we're ready outside of a pilot setting yet to really look universally at bigger changes, but I think that's coming. I think an example of what we're seeing and what this looks like that's really promising. Um, we hear a lot of folks in high school talking about writing in particular. It's a hot topic area where there's a lot of feelings about the role that AI can play in writing assignments. But some of the most promising examples we've seen are where teachers are able to use AI tools and build chatbots that allow students to get feedback along the way about how their work compares to the success criteria for the assignment, how they can look at, if the rubric says this is what an A looks like, how is my work so far stacking up against that, and what can I do to improve? And again, putting them in the driver's seat of their learning in a different way. It's giving them more opportunities for reflection. It's giving them more personalized feedback along the way than what an individual teacher can do on their own. But then what's that doing is opening up space where the teacher and the student together, when they're having conversations and they're doing conferences, they're able to go deeper into that learning. The student's been more focused on what their goals are and where they need to improve and trying to understand that. And the teacher's able to use that time that they now have for more one-on-one conversations to really guide that deeper learning, and that transmission of kind of deeper learning is what we see, and I know will create stronger learning outcomes into the future, and I think even more importantly help to build some more of those durable skills that we always talk about, of communication and collaboration and problem solving. And so while we're not there measuring that in the long term, we're hearing teachers tell us they're seeing stronger work from students when they use these kind of processes that are AI enabled. And I think as we start to see that be adopted much more widely, we're going to see students really taking more ownership, going deeper in their learning, and ultimately building more skills and having better success.
That's awesome to know. And it seems like some of the fears related to AI replacing teachers and educators are also pacified, given that the positive attributes that you are seeing with AI adoption. So that is also great to hear. In terms of thinking ahead, like this space is rapidly evolving, which is what you suggested at the very beginning of this conversation. Where do you see education um, industry evolving in the next 1 to 2 years, and so difficult to decouple AI and education in the current situation? So how do you see AI playing a role in that transformation as well in the next 1 to 2 years?
Yeah, I mentioned the coalition work that we did just a couple of minutes ago, and we had the opportunity to bring that coalition together actually earlier this week. And one of the main conversations we had with them was about how we think about that question exactly that you just posed to me is um, what is the future that we need to prepare students for now that we know how fundamentally AI is transforming learning, it's transforming the way we work across industries, and what does that mean? And so we dug into conversations about what kind of skills do we need to protect and what kind of skills or learning do we need to redesign to better equip students for the future. So I think we're going to see a lot more of those conversations, and we're going to see a focus more on building those durable skills. When you look at the research out there, of what the skills are that employers and industry and are going to be important in the future, they're consistently increasing AI literacy and fluency skills, but always those durable skills becoming that much more important, right? The things that the AI cannot do and will not be able to do are crucial skills in a workplace and in a learning environment where we are using AI all the time. And so we're starting to hear conversations about what that needs to look like. And we're also starting to see school districts think about how do we align what that means in our curriculum? How do we assess how students are growing above and beyond content knowledge? It's not just about the math skills you have or the writing skills you have, but there are other things we need to learn how to assess and develop differently. And then how do we align that in professional learning and resources for our educators? We ultimately see this just expanding what great teaching has always looked like. But that opens up, more evolution of the tools around us and the resources around us that I think we'll start seeing more schools and districts adopt. And our hope is, we're at a place now where we know that everyone needs to be getting these tools to their teachers and to their students. And so seeing a lot more direct AI literacy and fluency work with students where they're learning to not just be consumers of AI content, but creators and developers of AI content, I think will be one of the next frontiers that schools are grappling with while they're thinking about that bigger picture of redesign.
Great to hear. And for students, teachers, and people in the ecosystem, tying with the idea of AI in education, what advice would you give them as they're experimenting and going from?
Yeah. Well, yeah, you just said it, right? Experimenting, start small, think about what your goals for teaching and learning are. This isn't something that is intended or should be thrown on top as something that's additional. It's really meant to power what are we doing in the classroom and what are our goals for teaching and learning for students. So start there, try some things, and ultimately, I think talk to students. If you haven't had conversations yet with students about how they think about AI, about what they're looking for in their education, about their hopes and fears and concerns, a lot of times they're the same as what educators have. And the value they place on learning and relationships is the same as educators. And when we start from that place of understanding, it's opening up incredible doors for people to think about what comes next. And so, think about what we're already trying to achieve for students and bring them into the conversation and design it with them.
That's awesome. And if you could design the classroom of the future with AI, what would that look like?
Oh, man. I think it looks like humans at the center. I think it looks like all of the things we have always aspired to here at Leap, which is that every student does have a truly personalized path for success. So they have more access to flexible learning options to meet them and their unique needs and their interests. And ultimately, I think that flips us from students sitting in desks and rows and doing compliance based tasks and focusing on content knowledge and all of the things we have to achieve to thinking much more holistically about what success looks like and developing those real world durable skills for every student in the way that's relevant and meaningful and most impactful to them. That's our hope.
That's awesome. And thank you, Jessica. I personally learned a lot and I could see your passion. If people are interested to learn more about Leap Innovation, how can they do that?
Yeah, absolutely. Visit us online at leapinnovations.org. You can find information about how we define personalized learning and the ways that we're helping schools and districts grapple with and adopt AI technology in their schools.
Awesome. Well, Jessica, it was a pleasure having this conversation with you today. And thank you, viewers, for watching the video. If you are really interested to know about Leap Innovation, do visit their website and feel free to reach out to Jessica on LinkedIn as well. Thank you so much, Jessica.
You're welcome. Thank you.